What's up, people? Chris here to do some UFC 141 predictions. Looking forward to this event, mostly just for the main two fights. The rest of the card, nothing too, spectacular, at least on paper, but you never know, right? That said, I'd probably order this event just based off the co-main event alone. Two things that make this pay-per-view, I guess, a little bit unique in a way. One, it's happening on a Friday night as opposed to the normal Saturday. That's because, of course, New Year's Eve is on Saturday night, so you can understand why Zuffa is doing that. Number two, they're switching the pay-per-view times back to 7 o'clock. West Coast time, 4 Eastern, I believe. I actually preferred the earlier start times just because I felt like I had, just seemed like there's more of the night left when the event ends, I like it to end early, but, it was an experiment. Apparently they didn't like the results, so they're back to their regularly scheduled time. Not too intrigued by too many undercard bouts. I'm not really going to talk about too many. You got Jacob Volkman taking on Efren Escudero. Efren Escudero making his return to the UFC. Filling in for TJ Grant. I don't like Jacob Volkman. Just rubs me the wrong way. So I want Efren Escudero to win, but I expect Volkman to win by decision. Anthony Njokuani taking on Danny Castillo. Castillo also filling in as a late replacement for Ramsey Nijem. Every time I think of this fight, all I can picture is Danny Castillo getting kicked in the head by Anthony Pettis in the WEC and knocked out. Not to say that's going to be the end result here, but that image is burned in my memory. Thus, Anthony Njokuani by TKO. Nam Fan Jib Hedis. Haven't seen a whole lot of Hedis yet. Just the win over Bruce Leroy. Thus, Nam Fan by decision. Vladimir Machenko, Alexander Gustafsson. Bit of a crossroads fight. These guys are definitely in opposite ends of their career. Both coming off good wins though. Vladdy off the first round quick stoppage of Jason Brills. Alexander Gustafsson off the second round stoppage over Matt Hamill on the same show. Hamill retired shortly thereafter. Vladdy, better wrestler, more experienced. Gustafsson, I think, probably more well-rounded, more talented fighter. And I expect him to win this fight. I think if he can keep it on the feet, he can work over Vladdy there, similar to Hamill, maybe not as effectively, but similar. And even if he gets put on his back, I think he could hang there long enough to, hopefully stall out or get up to the feet again. So I'll go with Alexander Gustafsson by decision. John Fitch, Johnny Hendricks. Yeah, another bump or roadblock in the road for John Fitch's long road back to UFC welterweight title contention. UFC definitely doing no favors for him here. He's coming off that draw with BJ Penn, which that fight seems like forever ago. Hendricks, the better wrestler, credentialed wrestler as far as their college histories go, but I think that Fitch is better at implementing his wrestling inside the octagon. As far as other factors, I think Fitch is a much bigger fighter here, and he's more well-rounded. So I'm going to go with Fitch to win by what Fitch normally wins by decision. All right, co-main event of the night, and the fight that I said I am most looking forward to. This is probably one of the most anticipated fights that I can think of in recent memory. This along with Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit. Of course, full disclosure, both Nate Diaz and Donald Cerrone, Cowboy Cerrone, are two of my current favorite fighters in mixed martial arts, so love to watch both these guys fight. So seeing them fight against each other based on styles, this is like a can't miss fight. I guess the only downside is one of them has to lose. But on the other side, at least one of them is going to get a win. Nate coming off the very impressive demolition of Takanori Gomi in his first fight back at lightweight. Cowboy coming off an equally impressive win over Dennis Seaver. Cowboy's been on a bit of a roll as of late. I think he's 5-0 since entering the UFC. This is a tough one to call. Stand up, Cowboy is more well-rounded because he uses kicks, which Nate doesn't, and he uses knees and stuff. He's a kickboxer at heart. Nate just boxes. Ground, both very well versed there, although you definitely got to give the edge to Nate Diaz. More offensive grappler. Cowboy's more of a guy that uses it for defense, but he's done so successfully. If the fight's standing, I can make a case for both guys. Both guys are pretty fairly easy to hit. The difference is I think that Nate Diaz has a little more power in his punches, possibly, and I think that Donald Cowboy's chin isn't as good. He's been hurt, knocked down before. He's always recovered fairly well, but if Nate can pepper him on the feet enough, he might be able to do some damage. However, like I said, Cowboy likes to mix in kicks. Nate Diaz, nor do his brother, like to check kicks. If Cowboy can work over Nate's legs, kick his legs out from under him, he can slow Nate down and take some steam off of his punches. So I think that'd be in Cowboy's best interest. Hard to say this fight's going to the ground at all. I don't see why Cowboy would take it there at all. And Nate, although he might prefer to at times, depending on how the stand-up's going. I don't know if he really has a takedown or the wrestling to do it. I mean, he doesn't have good takedowns, and Cowboy's definitely getting much better on his takedown defense since his first Jimmy Varner fight. So it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think in all likelihood it's going to go the distance unless Cowboy gets sloppy and gets caught in a guillotine choke like he did against Ben Henderson in their rematch, which Nate is very capable of locking on. He's capable of locking on pretty much any submission, let's be honest. But I think most likely it's going to go the distance, and I'm going to put a slight edge to Cowboy to win a decision. But I won't be surprised if Nate wins, and I really don't care who wins because I like both these guys. Main event, Brock Lesnar, Alistair Overeem. Yes, it is going to happen. Thank goodness. I know there was a touch and go there for a minute with Alistair Overeem and the whole blood test, urine test, whatever, drug test. But as of this moment, it's a go, which is good, because if it wouldn't have been, it would have sucked. Brock coming off the loss to Cain Velasquez, where he lost his title. And it's been over a year since it happened, because once again he had another bout with diverticulitis. Alistair Overeem coming off a less than stellar performance over Fabricio Verdum. Man, this is a crazy fight. This fight is basically, it goes back to the beginning of mixed martial arts in a sense. Striker versus grappler. Not to say that Alistair Overeem is a fish out of water. I mean, he is not inept on the ground. He's submitted guys plenty in the past, but not really since he's been a heavyweight. But of course he's going to want to keep the fight standing because he is much better than Brock Lesnar on the feet standing. Brock, as we saw in the fight against Cain Velasquez and to agree, his fight against Shane Carwin, doesn't take well to getting hit. Not that anyone really does. I mean, except for the Diaz brothers. But Brock just doesn't seem to handle getting hit all that well. Doesn't seem to enjoy it. Alistair Overeem, he doesn't take the best punch either. So watch out if he gets clipped, because he doesn't have the biggest chin either. And Brock, if nothing else, has got solid power in his hands. If his stand-up game is, let's say, rudimentary at best. But he ain't going to want to stand straight. Brock wants to get this fight to the ground early and often. He's going to want to get Alistair Overeem down and use some ground and pound. And if he does, he might be able to really work Alistair Overeem over. I mean, it's hard for me to envision, not say he can, but it's hard for me to envision Alistair Overeem either submitting Brock from the bottom or being able to get up from underneath Brock Lesnar with Brock's, wrestling background and Alistair Overeem's lack of wrestling background. So that's what it boils down to. If Brock gets this fight to the ground, I think he just smashes that Overeem and works him over and tires him out and beats him. I don't think this fight's going to decision either way, regardless of who wins. If it does, it's going to suck. Because this is a 5-round fight, and the later heavyweight fights go, the worse they usually get. Although I did enjoy the slot fest that was Mark Hunt, Ben Roethlisberger earlier this year, where both guys gassed out. That was hilarious. One of my favorite fights of the year by far. But yeah, Alistair's want to keep the fight standing. If he can somehow keep his fight on the feet, stuff Brock's takedowns, or however he does it, catch him with the knee coming in, maybe. You never know. If he can keep this fight standing for any lengthy period of time, and can, start catching Brock with punches or knees or elbows or whatever it is, then Brock's going to be in a lot of trouble. Who do I think has the better opportunity to implement their game plan? I'm going to slightly favor Brock. I think with his just overall athleticism, size, and everything else combined, and I do think he's a naturally stronger, bigger guy. It's hard to say naturally with both these guys, with speculation of drug use in the past for both and currently still for Alistair Overeem, but I do think, if neither of these guys ever worked out, I think Brock Lesnar would be the naturally bigger, stronger guy. So I think he's going to be able to use that speed, that wrestling ability, get Alistair down, and like I said, hold him down there and just pound him out. I honestly don't think this fight's even going to see a third round either way. But I'm going to favor Brock Lesnar to win by stoppage. But can go either way, no doubt about that. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll probably be back Friday night to talk about these fights afterwards. I'm not for sure. It depends on what time I get in. If not, I'll try to make a video on Saturday. But I did talk about these fights recently on not this past weekend, but the weekend before, edition of Science Fights Radio Show. If you didn't get to check it out live, check it out on podcast or on demand. Link it in the information part of the video as always, as well link to sciencefinds.com and link to my Twitter. Also, another YouTube channel to look out for. The 206 Analyst, young guy doing videos as well. He also has a MMA site he works on, MMA Socialist. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the information part of the video as well. So if you get a chance, check him out and subscribe to his channel. That's it for now, guys. Want to hear which fights you're looking forward to the most? I got to imagine it's the main event, the co-main event. And who do you see winning those fights? Also, who you like to see win those fights and why. So for now, till next time, I'm out.